The power of connection. Why friendships? It is an honor to stand before you today and talk about something that touches every single one of us: social dynamics, and more specifically, the growing importance of friendships and social connections in filling emotional gaps in our lives. In a world that's constantly shifting through the tides of technology, changing family structures, career demands, and sometimes sheer emotional fatigue, our social connections have begun to take on new roles. No longer are they simply for casual get-togethers or surface-level entertainment. Increasingly, friendships are stepping in to become emotional anchors, the safe spaces where we feel seen, heard, and understood. Let's start by looking at the world around us. We're living in a hyper-connected age. Texts, tweets, video calls, and voice notes connect us across time zones in seconds. And yet, paradoxically, loneliness is at an all-time high. A study by the World Health Organization found that a growing number of people, particularly the younger generation, report feeling isolated even when they are surrounded by people or constantly online. Why is this happening? Because true emotional connection isn't measured by the number of followers or likes, but by the depth of the conversations we have, the trust we build, and the empathy we extend. And that's where friendships and meaningful social connections come in. In times of personal distress, anxiety, or simply when we feel a void within ourselves, it is often our friends, not just family, not just colleagues, who step in to help fill those emotional gaps. In the past, traditional family structures often provided the primary source of emotional support. Parents, siblings, extended families all played vital roles. But today, due to globalization, career mobility, and individualistic lifestyles, many of us live far from home or maintain complex relationships with our families. The emotional support once expected from familial bonds is now often found in close-knit friendships or chosen families. Let's pause for a moment and reflect. Think about the people you lean on when you're not feeling your best. Is it always your biological family, or is it that one friend who listens without judgment? The group chat that never fails to lift your spirits? The colleague who checks in on you, not just to talk about work, but to genuinely ask, "How are you really doing?" These relationships are not accidental. They are cultivated over time through trust, vulnerability, and mutual care. And in many ways, they are essential for our mental and emotional well-being. Now let's delve into the psychological aspect. Research in psychology has long shown that human beings are inherently social creatures. We thrive on connection. We need to belong. Emotional intimacy, being able to share our thoughts, our fears, our dreams, is as vital to our health as food or water. Studies show that people with strong social connections have lower levels of anxiety and depression, higher self-esteem, and even longer lifespans. In contrast, those who experience social isolation are more prone to developing chronic conditions like heart disease, cognitive decline, and even weakened immune systems. Emotional gaps, if left unfilled, don't just affect our minds, they affect our bodies too. This is where friendships act as powerful remedies. Good friends offer more than just laughs and shared memories. They offer emotional regulation, helping us process grief, navigate breakups, manage stress, and celebrate wins. They reflect back to us our strengths when we forget them. They remind us of who we are at our core. But there's another layer to this: diverse social connections. In today's world, friendships aren't bound by geography, race, religion, or culture. People are forming bonds across differences, and these connections can be incredibly enriching. They expose us to new ideas, challenge our assumptions, and provide perspectives we might otherwise never consider. In doing so, they help us grow emotionally and intellectually. Now, this isn't to say that friendships are perfect. Like any relationship, they require effort, they need time, patience, and communication. But the rewards are immeasurable. A phone call at the right time, a text that says, "I'm here if you need anything," an unexpected visit. These small gestures often carry huge emotional weight. In recent years, especially during and after the global pandemic, we've seen firsthand how isolation can erode our emotional health. But we've also witnessed the resilience of human connection. Neighbors helping each other, online communities forming support groups, friends reaching out across screens just to say, "You're not alone." This is the power of social dynamics at work. So what can we do to foster these emotional lifelines? First, be intentional. Don't just wait for someone to reach out. Send that message, make that call, schedule that coffee catch-up. Small efforts go a long way in deepening emotional bonds. Second, practice vulnerability. It's okay to admit you're struggling. It's okay to let people in. Authenticity is the gateway to deeper connections. Third, be present. Listen actively. In a distracted world, being fully present for someone is a gift. And finally, diversify your connections. Make room for different voices and backgrounds in your life. These relationships often become the most transformative. In conclusion, friendships and meaningful social connections are not just a nice to have, they are a necessity. As we navigate the complexities of modern life, these relationships serve as our emotional safety nets. They hold us up when we fall, cheer us on when we rise, and walk beside us through everything in between. Let us never underestimate the power of a good friend, a kind word, or a genuine connection. Because in a world full of noise, it's these relationships that give our lives meaning, color, and emotional balance. So I leave you with this thought. Be the friend you wish to have. Cultivate the connections that matter. And never forget, no one is meant to carry their emotional burdens alone. Thank you. Constant. It ebbs and flows. Some days we wake up feeling unstoppable. Other days we struggle to get out of bed. That's okay. Motivation isn't about being perfect. It's about being persistent. It's about having the courage to show up even when you don't feel like it. And that's where discipline comes in. Discipline is what carries you when motivation runs low. Discipline is the muscle that motivation trains. And yet, even discipline stems from motivation. Why? Because you still need a reason to be disciplined. You need to believe in something bigger than your current mood or situation. Maybe it's the desire to create a better life. Maybe it's love for your family. Maybe it's the belief that you were made for more. Find that reason and cling to it. Now let's not forget about balance. Motivation doesn't mean grinding 24/7. It doesn't mean pushing until you break. True motivation understands the value of rest, the need for reflection, the importance of joy. It's motivated people who take time to play, to breathe, to connect. Why? Because they understand that life isn't just about doing, it's about being. And being your best self means taking care of your spirit, not just your schedule. So how do we cultivate this powerful force of motivation every day? Here are a few thoughts. Start with intention. Don't just go through the motions. Wake up each day with a clear purpose, even if it's a small one. Ask yourself, what do I want to create today? Celebrate small wins. Motivation grows when we acknowledge progress. Did you complete a task, drink your water, show up to the gym, or stay calm in a tough moment? That's a win. Own it. Surround yourself with energy. People, environments, and even the content you consume can fuel or drain your motivation. Choose what lifts you up. Visualize your goals. See yourself succeeding. Picture the version of you who's thriving, not just surviving. Let that image pull you forward. Reflect and adjust. At the end of the day, ask what worked, what didn't. What can I improve tomorrow? Motivation thrives in awareness. Be kind to yourself. You'll have off days. That's life. What matters is that you don't give up. Rest, reset, and return with grace. To conclude, remember this. Your daily routine is a reflection of your inner world. If you want to change your life, don't just wait for motivation. Create it. Feed it with purpose, nurture it with action, and protect it with self-respect. Your work matters. Your health matters. You matter. And the beautiful truth is you have the power to shape your days, to rise above fatigue, fear, and distraction. All it takes is a spark of motivation and the willingness to act on it every single day. Thank you. Aware of our patterns, how we respond to stress, how we handle relationships, how we talk to ourselves when no one is listening. This awareness is the first step to change. You can't improve what you don't understand. And understanding yourself, your fears, your dreams, your triggers, your strengths is the foundation of personal development. Let me share a story. A few years ago, a friend of mine went on a silent retreat. 10 days of complete solitude and no speaking. It sounded extreme to me at the time, but when she returned, she was different, calmer, wiser, more grounded. She told me that for the first few days it was torture. Her mind raced, filled with anxiety and restlessness. But eventually the noise quieted. She began to hear her true voice beneath all the layers of judgment and pressure. She confronted things she had buried for years, and in that stillness she found healing. Not all of us need to go on a silent retreat, but we do need to carve out time to be alone with ourselves regularly. It could be a morning walk, journaling before bed, or even sitting in silence for 10 minutes a day. The key is consistency. Like any muscle, the more you exercise your self-awareness, the stronger it becomes. Now, self-reflection isn't always easy. Sometimes it brings up uncomfortable truths. We might realize we've been holding on to toxic relationships, chasing empty goals, or neglecting parts of ourselves that need care. But discomfort is not the enemy, denial is. Facing the truth, no matter how difficult, is what sets us free. Alone time also reconnects us with our creativity and intuition. Some of the greatest breakthroughs in art, science, and philosophy were born in solitude. Think of Einstein, who said his best ideas came during his thought experiments when he was alone, or Virginia Woolf, who famously argued that every woman needs a room of her own to create. When we are alone, free from external noise, we can hear the whispers of inspiration. Furthermore, being comfortable in solitude builds emotional resilience. It teaches us that we are enough on our own. We learn to validate ourselves instead of constantly seeking approval from others. We stop fearing loneliness and start embracing solitude as a source of strength, and this inner stability improves our relationships too, because we're no longer clinging to others to fill our voids, but rather sharing from a place of wholeness. So how can you start practicing self-reflection, Toda? It doesn't have to be complicated. Here are a few simple techniques. Journaling. Write freely about your thoughts, feelings, and experiences. Ask yourself reflective questions. What did I learn today? What challenged me? What am I grateful for? Mindful meditation. Sit quietly and observe your thoughts without judgment. Let them come and go. Notice what your mind gravitates toward. Nature walks. Spend time in nature, away from screens. Let your thoughts flow with the rhythm of your steps and the environment around you. Digital detox. Take regular breaks from social media and digital devices. Give your mind space to breathe and reflect without constant stimulation. Self-inquiry. Ask yourself deep questions. Who am I becoming? What truly matters to me? Where am I holding back in life? The more you engage in these practices, the more you'll notice a shift. You'll start making decisions that align with your values. You'll respond to challenges with greater clarity. You'll recognize when you're out of balance and take steps to course correct. Ladies and gentlemen, alone time isn't about escaping the world, it's about returning to yourself. In the silence, we hear the truth. In the stillness, we find wisdom. In the solitude, we grow. So, I challenge you, make space in your life for reflection. Not just occasionally, but regularly. Make it a non-negotiable part of your routine. Because the most important conversation you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself. Have you ever witnessed someone so lost in their passion that the world seems to fade away around them? That intense focus, that joy, that fire in the eyes. It's a magical thing to see. Today I want to speak about something incredibly powerful and profoundly human, the idea of unfiltered hobbies. The ability to fully indulge in personal interests without compromise. We all have hobbies, from painting to photography, from gaming to gardening, from tinkering with old cars to collecting vintage vinyl. Hobbies are those activities that bring joy, peace, and meaning to our lives. But how often do we actually allow ourselves or others the freedom to pursue them without filters, without guilt, without compromise? Let's focus on a man, any man really, who has finally carved out that sacred space in his life where he no longer negotiates his passions away. He no longer says maybe later or I shouldn't. He says, yes, this is for me. And in doing so, he steps into a version of himself that is more complete, more joyful, and more alive. Why do hobbies matter? They aren't just pastimes. They're expressions of identity. They are extensions of creativity, curiosity, and desire. When a man indulges in his hobbies, he is not escaping life, he is embracing it. Whether he's building models, brewing craft beer, playing guitar, coding open source software, or hiking mountain trails, he's in his element. He's in his zone. But what often happens? Life happens, responsibilities pile up, careers demand our attention, Relationships come with expectations, social norms try to box us in, and slowly, piece by piece, the time and space we once gave to our passions get crowded out. And then, one day, many of us wake up feeling unfulfilled. We might be successful on paper, we might be loved and respected, but something is missing. That's when the power of unfiltered hobbies comes in, not just as a pastime, but as a reclamation of self. Unfiltered means unapologetic. It means engaging in a hobby not for validation, not for income, not for Instagram likes, but purely for joy. It means playing video games for hours without guilt. It means restoring motorcycles in the garage because it brings peace. It means painting abstract art even if no one understands it. It means reading comic books, not because they're trendy, but because they speak to your soul. This freedom, this lack of compromise, isn't selfish, it's essential. Because when we allow someone, or ourselves, the space to pursue personal interests fully, we give birth to creativity, confidence, and connection. Creativity thrives when we're unfiltered. When we engage in something we truly love, we innovate, we experiment, we push boundaries. A man in his element is a man who can change the world around him because he knows how to access the joy within. Confidence is born out of doing what we love without apology. Think about it. There's a difference between someone who hides their hobbies and someone who owns them. One says, "It's just a silly thing I do," while the other says, "This is who I am." The latter stands taller, smiles wider, and lives freer. Connection is nurtured through shared passion. When we live authentically through our interests, we find others who resonate with our passions. Communities are born, friendships are deepened, partnerships become stronger when each person feels seen and supported in their pursuits. Now I want to speak to the men specifically, because often society teaches men to suppress, to filter, to be practical, to grow up. There's pressure to be providers, protectors, achievers, and while those roles have their place, they often come at the cost of creative expression and emotional fulfillment. But here's the truth. A man who is fully immersed in his interests is not less responsible, he is more complete. He is more grounded. He brings more to the table, to his family, to his work, to his community, because he is operating from a place of joy and alignment. We need to normalize that. We need to normalize men having hobbies that they take seriously or not seriously at all, but that they love. We need to normalize joy that is not tied to productivity. We need to support each other in saying, "You love this? Then do it. Do it fully." Because unfiltered hobbies are a form of self-care. They are therapy. They are celebration. They are rebellion in the best way, against monotony, against burnout, against conformity. They are declarations of identity. To the man who plays Dungeons and Dragons every weekend, keep playing. To the man who surfs at sunrise, even if it means waking up at, keep surfing. To the man who builds Lego cities in his basement, build the empire. To the man who dances, bakes, sculpts, codes, writes, or even just collects things that make his heart happy, don't stop. Don't apologize. Don't explain. Just do it. Let this be a reminder that life is not just about duties and deadlines, it is also about dreams. Not just about careers and calendars, but about curiosity. It is about saying yes to the things that bring you alive, not someday, but today. So let us celebrate the man who has embraced his hobbies without compromise. He is not avoiding responsibility, he is embodying authenticity. He is not immature, he is imaginative. He is not escaping reality, he is enriching it. And let us all, men and women alike, encourage that in each other. Let us create spaces where unfiltered passion is welcomed, not questioned. Let us be the kind of people who say, "You love that? Go all in." Because when we indulge in our hobbies without compromise, we do more than just pass the time, we feed the soul. The strength in solitude, emotional management without a partner. Thank you for being here today. It's a privilege to speak about something deeply personal, yet widely relatable. Emotional management without a partner. In a society that often celebrates romantic relationships as the cornerstone of emotional support, what does it mean to navigate life without one? More importantly, how do we manage our emotions when there's no significant other to lean on during life's highs and lows? Today, I want to speak about the emotional journey of someone who often processes emotions internally or leans on close friends. Someone who doesn't have a partner to come home to, who doesn't share the comfort of nightly conversations or the reassurance of a constant romantic presence. Yet this person continues to thrive, to evolve, and to show resilience in their emotional landscape. Let me begin by saying that emotional independence is not about denying the need for others. It's about cultivating the strength to stand alone when necessary, while still recognizing the value of connection. For someone without a partner, emotional management becomes an intentional process, not a default one. It requires self-awareness, emotional discipline, and a solid support system, even if that system looks different than what we traditionally imagine. Processing emotions internally, for many, the first instinct when something goes wrong, whether it's a tough day at work, a family issue, or personal disappointment, is to turn inward. Without a romantic partner to confide in, the process of self-reflection becomes essential. This means taking time to sit with your emotions, naming them, understanding their origin, and working through them instead of pushing them away or expecting someone else to fix them. Journaling becomes a powerful tool. Meditation and mindfulness are not just trendy concepts, they become survival skills. Talking to oneself, yes, even out loud, becomes a form of therapy. In solitude, a person begins to understand their emotional triggers and how to manage reactions instead of being controlled by them. This internal processing might look lonely from the outside, but it can be a space of growth and strength. It teaches emotional accountability. It builds the capacity to be okay with silence and to find comfort in one's own presence. It fosters a deep and honest relationship with oneself, the kind of relationship that even a romantic one might not always provide. The role of close friends, but solitude doesn't mean isolation. For those without a partner, close friends often become emotional lifelines. These are the people who pick up the phone at midnight. They're the ones who send random check-ins, remember important dates, and make space for vulnerable conversations over coffee or text. Leaning on close friends requires trust and vulnerability. It's about saying, "Hey, I'm not okay right now," and knowing someone will respond with empathy and care. These relationships are chosen, nurtured, and mutually enriching. Unlike romantic relationships, which often come with expectations of exclusivity and long-term plans, friendships offer a different kind of flexibility and freedom. In some ways, leaning on friends can provide more diverse emotional support. Different friends bring different perspectives. One might be a great listener, another might offer tough love, another might simply sit with you in silence. This emotional mosaic creates a strong foundation, one that doesn't rely on a single person to fulfill all emotional needs. Challenging societal expectations. One of the biggest challenges of managing emotions without a partner is dealing with societal expectations. From movies and books to social media and family gatherings, we're constantly told that being in a relationship is the ultimate goal, that happiness and emotional fulfillment are found in another person. But that narrative is incomplete. Emotional wholeness isn't about finding another half. It's about being whole on your own. Having a partner can be wonderful, but not having one doesn't mean a life devoid of love, support, or meaning. In fact, some of the most emotionally intelligent people are those who've had to navigate the storms of life on their own terms. There is great power in showing up for yourself. There is strength in managing your emotions without outsourcing them. And there is beauty in the friendships and communities we build along the way. Healthy coping mechanisms, managing emotions internally, also demands healthy coping strategies. Without a partner to mirror or regulate emotions, it becomes even more important to avoid harmful patterns like bottling up feelings, suppressing vulnerability, or turning to unhealthy distractions. Instead, it means learning when to pause, when to cry, when to seek professional help, when to unplug, when to laugh with friends or sit quietly in nature. It means being honest about your emotional state and choosing actions that promote healing rather than avoidance. This process is ongoing. Emotional management is not a destination, it's a practice, and like any practice, it requires time, patience, and self-compassion. The gift of solitude. There's also a profound gift in walking through emotional life without a romantic partner. the gift of knowing yourself deeply. When you're not constantly managing the dynamics of a relationship, you create space to explore who you are, your needs, your values, your boundaries. You learn to fall in love with your own journey, your own rhythm. You create a life that is full, not waiting to be completed by someone else. You realize that you are enough, not just as a placeholder until someone arrives, but as a whole, evolving human being right now. To anyone navigating emotional life without a partner, I want to say this: you are not alone, even in your solitude. You are not incomplete, and you are not any less worthy of love, joy, or emotional fulfillment. Whether you process your emotions internally or share them with close friends, you are engaging in a powerful act of self-respect. You are building emotional resilience. You are choosing to show up for yourself in the most meaningful way. And one day, if and when a romantic partner enters your life, they will be meeting someone who already knows how to manage emotions with grace and depth. Someone who isn't looking to be rescued or completed, but rather someone who can share life as a strong, emotionally grounded individual. So here's to the strength in solitude, to the value of friendship, and to the courage it takes to feel deeply, love freely, and live fully, partner or not. Space ownership, unfiltered hobbies. He can fully indulge in personal interests without compromise. Have you ever felt the joy of stepping into a space that's entirely yours, a place where the world fades away, judgment is non-existent, and every inch reflects your passions? For many, especially men navigating the demands of work, family, and social expectations, having that kind of space is not just a luxury, it's a necessity. Today, I want to talk about the powerful idea of space ownership and the freedom it provides to embrace unfiltered hobbies. A realm where a man can fully indulge in his interests without compromise, without shame, and without... Let's begin with the concept of space ownership. I'm not talking about real estate or property rights. I'm talking about personal space. An area carved out for identity, creativity, and joy. It might be a basement filled with guitars and vinyl records, a garage turned into a workshop, a spare room full of model airplanes, books, gaming rigs, or Star Wars collectibles. It doesn't matter what it looks like. What matters is that it's his sanctuary. In today's constantly scrutinized world, personal space has become sacred. It's a refuge from expectations, a retreat from roles. A man might be a provider, a partner, a father, a leader, but within that space, he's just himself. No filters, no performance, just pure authenticity. Now, let's talk about unfiltered hobbies. Society often tries to tell us which hobbies are acceptable or productive, hobbies that are marketable or impressive. But the beauty of a true hobby lies in its irrelevance to profit or prestige. It's about joy, about obsession, about passion. In his own space, a man can be the dungeon master of his dreams, surrounded by dice and miniatures. He can immerse himself in oil painting with no intention to sell a single canvas. He can work on the same motorcycle engine for years, not because he has to, but because he wants to. That freedom, it's liberating. Indulging in unfiltered hobbies nurtures the soul. It revives mental energy. It allows exploration of identity and self-expression without external pressures. And here's something we often overlook. Hobbies connect us with our inner child. They reawaken that playful, curious part of us that the world tries so hard to suppress. To fully indulge in a personal interest without compromise is a radical act of self-love. And yes, I said radical, because it goes against the grain of what modern life often demands from men. We're taught to sacrifice, to suppress, to stay productive. So when a man says, "I'm going to spend my weekend painting miniatures," or "I'm dedicating my nights to writing music," it can be seen as indulgent or even selfish, but it's not. It's necessary. Because when a man is free to pursue what he loves, without needing to justify it to anyone, he becomes more balanced, more fulfilled, more alive. He becomes a better partner, a better father, a better friend, not because he tries to be, but because he's connected to who he is at the cost. Think of someone you know who has a dedicated hobby space. Maybe it's your uncle who brews craft beer in his shed, your neighbor who has a home gym that looks like a CrossFit temple, or your friend who's turned his garage into a retro arcade. These are more than hobbies, they're identities. These spaces become emotional oases. When life gets heavy, when stress builds up, these sanctuaries offer escape and grounding. Or consider someone like Keanu Reeves. Outside of acting, he's known for his deep love of motorcycles. He even co-founded a custom motorcycle company. That passion isn't just a side hustle, it's part of what makes him him. He owns that space and that interest unapologetically. Psychologically, the benefits are undeniable. Studies show that people who engage in regular hobbies experience lower levels of stress, improved mood, and even greater cognitive function. For men especially, having a space to unwind without having to explain, apologize, or adjust is essential for mental health. This kind of space isn't about escaping responsibilities, it's about creating balance. In a world that demands so much of us, having a space where nothing is demanded at all is how we recharge and rise again. So what do we do with all this? If you have a space, cherish it, protect it. Don't apologize for it. Don't let the world make you feel guilty for loving what you love. And if you don't yet have that space, create it. Even if it's just a corner of a room, a desk by a window, a small shelf of things that bring you joy. Start somewhere. Stake your claim. If you're a partner, a friend, a parent, respect and support the need for space in the men around you. Don't tease them for their weird hobbies. Don't diminish the things they love. That hobby might be the thing keeping them sane. Encourage unfiltered interests. Celebrate that passion, because when someone is living in alignment with their true joys, the ripple effect touches every area of their. In conclusion, space ownership isn't selfish. It's sacred. It's about claiming a corner of the universe where you can be your full, unfiltered self. Unfiltered hobbies aren't a waste of time. They're a declaration of identity. And to indulge without compromise, that's not indulgence, it's wholeness. So to every man out there, find your space, fill it with your passions, and don't hold back. Because in that space, with those hobbies, you are not just doing something, you are remembering who you are. The power of motivation in daily routines. Ladies and gentlemen, friends and fellow seekers of purpose. Today I want to talk about something we all engage in, something we can't escape, our daily routines. From the moment we wake up to the time we lay our heads down at night, our lives are filled with patterns, habits, and tasks. Some of these routines revolve around our careers, others around our families, health, or personal care. But have you ever stopped to ask yourself, what drives all of this? What is the fuel that keeps our internal engines running? The answer is simple, yet powerful. Motivation. Motivation is the spark behind every action we take. It is the invisible force that determines whether we rise with the alarm or hit the snooze button, whether we give our best at work or just scrape by, whether we care for our bodies and minds or neglect them. Daily routines do not sustain themselves, they rely entirely on the motivation that comes from within. Let's talk first about work, a central part of most people's lives. Whether you're an employee, an entrepreneur, a student, or a homemaker, your work demands consistency, effort, and focus. But without motivation, work becomes a burden. It becomes something we drag ourselves through. Have you ever felt that heaviness, that resistance to start your day, that lack of drive? I think we all have at some point. The key to transforming work from a chore into a purpose lies in understanding your why. Why do you do what you do? Is it to provide for your family, to pursue a dream, to leave a legacy? When you reconnect with your purpose, motivation begins to rise. And when motivation rises, so does productivity. You become more engaged, more creative, more energetic. Suddenly, meetings aren't just meetings, they're opportunities. Projects aren't just deadlines, they're milestones. Now let's shift to personal care, an area so often neglected in our fast-paced lives. Eating right, staying active, maintaining hygiene, taking mental health breaks. These are not luxuries, they are essentials. But they require motivation, perhaps even more so than work. Why? Because they don't always have immediate consequences. You can skip a workout or eat junk food today, and life might go on just fine. But over time, the lack of motivation in personal care accumulates. It becomes fatigue, illness, stress, and burnout. So how do we stay motivated to care for ourselves? It begins with self-respect. If you truly value yourself, If you believe you are worthy of a good life, then taking care of your body and mind becomes non-negotiable. Motivation in this sense is not about hype, it's about honoring yourself. It's about understanding that your energy, health, and peace of mind directly influence every other part of your routine, your work, your relationships, your dreams. Let's talk about habits, the building blocks of routines. Motivation isn't just a sudden rush of energy, it's also what helps form sustainable habits. And here's a secret, habits build motivation too. When you start small, like waking up a little earlier, drinking more water, reading 10 pages a day, you create momentum. Momentum creates motivation, and motivation creates consistency. It's a beautiful cycle, but let's be honest, motivation isn't always constant. It ebbs and flows. Some days we wake up feeling unstoppable. Other days we struggle to get out of bed. That's okay. Motivation isn't about being perfect. It's about being persistent. It's about having the courage to show up even when you don't feel like it. And that's where discipline comes in. Discipline is what carries you when motivation runs low. Discipline is the muscle that motivation trains. And yet, even discipline stems from motivation. Why? Because you still need a reason to be disciplined. You need to believe in something bigger than your current mood or situation. Maybe it's the desire to create a better life. Maybe it's love for your family. Maybe it's the belief that you were made for more. Find that reason and cling to it. Now, let's not forget about balance. Motivation doesn't mean grinding 24/7. It doesn't mean pushing until you break. True motivation understands the value of rest, the need for reflection, the importance of joy. It's motivated people who take time to play, to breathe, to connect. Why? Because they understand that life isn't just about doing, it's about being. And being your best self means taking care of your spirit, not just your schedule. So, how do we cultivate this powerful force of motivation every day? Here are a few thoughts. Start with intention. Don't just go through the motions. Wake up each day with a clear purpose, even if it's a small one. Ask yourself, what do I want to create today? Celebrate small wins. Motivation grows when we acknowledge progress. Did you complete a task, drink your water, show up to the gym, or stay calm in a tough moment? That's a win. Own it. Surround yourself with energy. People, environments, and even the content you consume can fuel or drain your motivation. Choose what lifts you up. Visualize your goals. See yourself succeeding. Picture the version of you who's thriving, not just surviving. Let that image pull you forward. Reflect and adjust. At the end of the day, ask, what worked, what didn't? What can I improve tomorrow? Motivation thrives in awareness. Be kind to yourself. You'll have off days. That's life. What matters is that you don't give up. Rest, reset, and return with grace. To conclude, remember this. Your daily routine is a reflection of your inner world. If you want to change your life, don't just wait for motivation. Create it. Feed it with purpose. Nurture it with action. And protect it with self-respect. Your work matters. Your health matters. You matter. And the beautiful truth is, you have the power to shape your days, to rise above fatigue, fear, and distraction. All it takes is a spark of motivation and the willingness to act on it every single day. Thank you.